My family turned my Thanksgiving into a living nightmare. They trashed my house, raided my fridge, and now they're blaming me for ruining everything. Thanksgiving is just around the corner, and I feel like I'm at my breaking point. For the past 5 years, I've hosted at my house, and it's gone from being something I genuinely loved to something I absolutely dread. The main issue isn't the cooking or cleaning, it's how my family treats my home like a free hotel. They don't just come for the meal. They show up days early and act like they're on vacation. My brother brings his kids, who immediately take over the living room with toys, snacks, and whatever mess they can make. My sister doesn't lift a finger, claiming she's just here to relax. And my mom spends the entire time critiquing everything I do. She even made me iron the tablecloth last year, saying it was embarrassing for the family to eat on wrinkles. Last year was the final straw. My brother's kids raided the fridge the morning after Thanksgiving, finishing off the leftover pie I was saving to share with my in-laws that weekend. No one helped clean up after dinner. My husband and I spent 2 hours washing dishes, while everyone else lounged in the living room drinking wine. When I complained later, my sister rolled her eyes and said, "Well, you're the one who wanted to host." This year, I decided I wasn't going to do it. Back in September, I told everyone I needed a break and suggested we rotate hosting duties or go out to a restaurant. My mom said I was being selfish and that my house is the most comfortable. My sister flat out refused, saying her apartment is too small, and my brother said he's too busy to host because of his work schedule. Since then, they've been constantly pressuring me to change my mind. My mom even said, "You're ruining Thanksgiving for everyone," and my brother promised to help more this year, though I've heard that before. Now, with only a day to go, no one has stepped up to host, and the family group chat is a passive-aggressive mess. My mom keeps implying that Thanksgiving might not happen at all if I don't agree to host, which makes me feel terrible. On one hand, I feel like it's unfair for them to expect me to carry the burden year after year, especially when they treat me and my home with so little respect. On the other hand, the idea of Thanksgiving falling apart because of me is making me second-guess myself. Part of me wonders if I should just suck it up and host to keep the peace, but another part of me feels like I deserve a break too. AETA for standing my ground and refusing to host this year? Update 1. So, it's the day before Thanksgiving, and I still can't believe the amount of stress I'm dealing with. I thought I had finally set a boundary, you know? Like, I told my family I was done hosting this year because I was burned out, and they all acted like it was the end of the world. My mom called me selfish. My brother promised to help more, which we all know is just code for doing the bare minimum. And my sister, well, she refused to even entertain the idea of hosting. It was like, no matter how much I begged for a break, they just couldn't get it. The thing is, I wasn't being unreasonable. I've been hosting Thanksgiving for 5 years, and every year it's the same thing. My brother's kids take over the house like it's a daycare. I love them, but come on, they spill juice on the carpet, play video games all day, and scatter toys everywhere. It's honestly exhausting. And my sister? Yeah, she comes over, kicks her feet up, drinks wine, and doesn't lift a finger to help. Last year, she even said, "I'm just here to relax," and I wanted to scream. Then there's my mom. She's been a constant critic. It's like I can't do anything right in her eyes. Last year, I didn't iron the tablecloth properly, and she made such a big deal out of it that I ended up spending the whole morning ironing it while everyone else was enjoying breakfast. Like, how is this normal? On top of that, every time I tried to talk to her about it, she'd say things like, "Well, if you didn't want to do all the work, you shouldn't have volunteered in the first place," as if hosting Thanksgiving is some kind of obligation I signed up for with no way out. But I wasn't trying to make this a huge issue. I really wasn't. All I wanted was a simple break. So I told everyone back in September that I didn't want to host anymore, and we should either rotate hosting duties or just go out to a restaurant. Honestly, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. But no, my mom insisted my house was the most comfortable, which felt like a backhanded compliment, and my brother's excuse was that he was too busy with work. Yeah, right. I know that's just him passing the responsibility. And my sister's excuse? My apartment is too small. Are you kidding me? It's not like we were asking her to fit 20 people in there, just a manageable number, but no, she said it was too cramped for a dinner. I tried to suggest meeting at a park or something, maybe doing a potluck, but they all shut that down too. So now it's the day before Thanksgiving, and here we are. No one has stepped up to host. No one has volunteered to take on any of the work. And yet, my family still expects me to do it. I can feel the pressure building. My mom keeps texting me, passive-aggressively telling me that Thanksgiving will be ruined if I don't host. She literally said, "It won't be the same if you don't do it." My brother even said he'd help more this time, but honestly, I've heard that before and it never happens. I know the drill. He'll show up, complain about how hard his job is, and then sit on his phone the entire time while everyone else is running around trying to make things work. And what really gets me, though, is how they're all trying to guilt-trip me into doing this. They all know I've been struggling with burnout for a while, and yet they keep pushing me. They act like Thanksgiving will just fall apart without me, like I'm the only one who can make it happen. It's so messed up, honestly. And every time I try to bring up how I feel, my mom goes into this guilt trip mode saying things like, "I don't know what we'll do without you." I'm sitting here wondering, what would they do without me? Keep celebrating Thanksgiving like nothing's wrong? Keep acting like I'm just some backup plan for their convenience? It's exhausting, and honestly, I just want them to get it. I'm not a doormat, and I'm tired of being treated like one. Then there's the whole guilt part. I feel guilty that I might be ruining Thanksgiving, like I'm the bad guy here, but then I think about all the times I've bent over backward for them, and I'm just so over it. Why am I the only one who's expected to sacrifice? Why do I have to give up my peace of mind just to keep everyone else happy? I know if I do it again, I'll be right back in the same boat next year. I'll be running around, making sure everything is perfect while my brother lounges, my sister does nothing, and my mom critiques every little thing. And even after all that, I'll be left cleaning up, alone, because no one else ever lifts a finger. But then, I started thinking about what would happen if I just said no. What if I just stuck to my guns and didn't let them manipulate me into feeling bad? Maybe Thanksgiving would still happen, just in a different way. Maybe they'd finally step up. Maybe they'd realize that I'm not just here to serve them. But even thinking about that made me anxious. What if Thanksgiving falls apart? What if no one does anything and we all just sit around and fight? What if I really am ruining it for everyone? I keep going back and forth in my head and it's so exhausting. I just want to know I'm doing the right thing. Part of me wants to be like, fine, I'll host again this year, but I'll make sure I get a break next time. But I don't want to set myself up for failure. I want my family to realize that I can't carry the weight for them anymore, that I deserve a break too. But at the same time, I just don't want to be the reason Thanksgiving doesn't happen. I don't know, guys. I'm stuck. Should I just suck it up, host one more year, and hope it goes better? Or should I stand firm and let them figure it out themselves? I feel like I'm being selfish for saying no, but at the same time, it's hard to ignore how much I've been doing all this time. So, am I the asshole for standing my ground this time? Or am I ruining Thanksgiving for everyone? Anyway, I'm still stuck in this mess, and I guess I'll figure it out by tomorrow. But it feels like I'm stuck between a rock and a hard place. If anyone has advice on how to deal with a family like this, I'd love to hear it. Update 2. I can't even begin to explain the level of chaos that's happened since my last post. So, it turns out, I didn't have to host Thanksgiving this year, but that doesn't mean I got a break at all. After I posted, things got weird. So, first off, my mom tried guilt-tripping me like you wouldn't believe. She sent me this long text about how Thanksgiving is about family, and how I was being a terrible daughter for ruining the tradition. Honestly, it was a lot of, how could you do this to your family? And, you're supposed to be the glue that holds us together. The usual stuff, you know? I read it, showed my husband, and we both just kind of stared at the phone for a second before I just shrugged and said, well, this is going to be a fun holiday. Then, my brother and sister started texting, like one after the other. My sister, of course, said something passive-aggressive like, I guess no one cares about having a good Thanksgiving anymore, and how she'd never expect me to do all the work, which, is exactly what she does every year. But then, she went on to say that she hopes I find peace with my decision. Okay, I see what you did there. It was like she was trying to sound supportive but still getting a jab in. And my brother? He sent me a message saying, I don't know why you're making such a big deal out of it, and how we can all figure it out without you. Guess who's coming to Thanksgiving? Yep, my brother. The real kicker, though, came a few hours later. So my mom called me, and I could tell she was already worked up, but this time she was trying this new approach. She started off with some fake sweetness, saying things like, "Oh, honey, I just want what's best for you, I really do. And I understand if you need a break. I just want to make sure Thanksgiving is special for everyone." Like, okay, this sounded way too rehearsed. So I braced myself for the guilt bomb. And sure enough, it came. She told me that the entire family was counting on me, and that if I didn't host, Thanksgiving might be ruined for everyone. She went on and on about how no one else is willing to do it, and how hard it would be to find a place that would let us all sit together. Which, yeah, I get, but I still wasn't feeling bad enough to give in. At this point, I was like, okay, this is getting ridiculous. But then something even crazier happened. I swear to God, I got a message from my cousin, who lives a few states away. She texted me out of nowhere saying, "I heard about your Thanksgiving drama, and I just wanted to let you know I have a house big enough for everyone. You guys can come here if you want. I know you've been dealing with a lot." Honestly, I almost burst out laughing because it was just such a weirdly random thing to do. But then it clicked. My mom had called her. I knew it. My mom was pulling every string she could to make me feel guilty, and was probably already planning on asking my cousin to host so that she wouldn't look bad. So I told my cousin thanks but no thanks, and I left it at that. After that, I decided to stick to my guns, but of course the family group chat didn't let up. It was basically a nonstop barrage of passive-aggressive messages. My sister sent a meme of a sad turkey with the caption, "When no one wants to be the host." Classy, right? And my brother kept saying, "We can't just cancel Thanksgiving, are we seriously doing that?" Meanwhile, my mom kept posting in the chat like she was some kind of martyr saying, "I guess we'll just figure it out since no one else wants to help." I finally snapped and told them all I wasn't going to host, and I wasn't changing my mind. That's when the real fun started. My sister started texting me privately, saying that if I didn't step up, the family would be destroyed. I know it sounds dramatic, but that's exactly how she put it. She went on about how Thanksgiving just won't be the same without me there, and how she's really disappointed. And my brother, of course, started texting me about how I was being ridiculous and that we're all adults, we don't need to rely on you. And then, to make matters even worse, my mom texted me a picture of my nieces and nephews with the caption, "Is this what you want for Thanksgiving? Them not having a home to go to?" I kid you not, I was seriously about to lose it. I just went to the store and bought a ton of snacks to avoid responding for a while. I needed space, you know? After a few hours of scrolling through my phone, I decided to stop replying to the group chat entirely. They didn't even notice for a while. But I was honestly starting to get a little bit of relief. That's when the real twist hit. Remember my cousin, the one who offered her house? Well, she came through in the clutch. She messaged me again, and this time, she was serious. She said, "Look, I know your mom is pushing you hard to host, but if you need a break, you can just come here. We can cook together, it won't be the same family dynamic, but I promise you, it'll be a lot more relaxed." At first, I thought about it and was like, okay, maybe this is an opportunity to just step away from the drama. But then it hit me. I could totally turn this situation around. I texted my mom saying, "I've thought about it, and I'm going to take a break from hosting this year. I'm going to my cousin's house, and I hope you understand that I need some time for myself." Then, to make sure no one could guilt trip me into changing my mind, I blocked the family group chat. I'll admit, it felt a little petty, but honestly, at this point, I didn't care. So, yeah, I'm going to my cousin's house for Thanksgiving, and I'm honestly feeling so relieved. I'm finally putting myself first after all these years of dealing with their nonsense. It's kind of crazy how much they expect from me, but I'm done with that. Honestly, I didn't expect things to go this way, but it feels like the right decision. I can finally relax and enjoy the holiday without all the pressure and drama. I guess the moral of the story is, don't let your family guilt trip you into doing things you don't want to do, even if they try every trick in the book. I'm excited to spend Thanksgiving in peace for the first time in years.